So today I'm starting my video at the end of our event. We are just about to leave Hollow and Quill, waiting in the parking lot to go, and it was not a great sales day, but I had a lot of fun meeting people. So I'm starting the video at the end. I'll take you on a quick little tour of the bookstore. And I didn't get any video yesterday, so I'll just chat about the event we did at the retirement community. But I'm going to catch my breath for a few minutes, and I will see you when I get home. And we are home from our great adventure to Reno again, the second day in a row. We went yesterday to drop off books to Hollow and Quill, which is where we did the signing today. And then after we dropped them off, we went up to another part of Reno to visit a retirement community. Now, I will say that was a lot of fun. The group we had was maybe 10-ish people, but they seemed to really have a good time. We did sell a copy of the book, but JT read from a sheriff in Nevada and answered questions, and then the group had questions about us as a couple. Even though it was JT's signing, they knew that both of us are authors, and I will be doing a signing there next weekend. So that was a lot of fun. I look forward to going to do my turn, and it was just a great group of people. They were so excited to have visitors, and they set us up in this very nice library room. The only issue was that it was very warm in there because we are hovering in the 90s this week. It is toasty here in northern Nevada. So I guess it's not uncommon for that room of that retirement community to be a little on the warm side during the summer months. It sounds like that's what the residents were complaining about. So unfortunately, it was not as comfortable as it could have been for all of us, but it was still a good time. So today we went back to Reno and back to Hollow and Quill, which was the bookstore that was hosting their author day. This was their first author day. They've been open for about 4 months. And as I'm telling you about this, I'll show you a video I took of the location. They are in a part of Reno, kind of a little bit off of the downtown area of Virginia Street would be considered downtown. So they're just a few blocks from Virginia Street to the east. They're in an old industrial building that has been nicely renovated. And right next door is a very yummy coffee shop. JT and I had lunch there. And it is a very nice little bookstore. It's very highly curated. We did buy a couple of things. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about right now is the cost of doing these author events. So I don't know for sure if I've mentioned in the past. I believe JT and I have talked about this on our podcast, but we tried to do as many free author events as possible. So, for example, the Sierra Arts Foundation, when we do Book Fest, they do not charge a booth fee. However, they do take a 15% cut of our sales, which is fine because it costs them thousands of dollars to put on the event, and they need to break even on those costs because they are a nonprofit, and it is something that they are doing for our author community, for the Sierra Arts literary community. So 15% is actually on the low end of these costs. Now, Hollow and Quill, being an independent bookstore, the norm is that an independent bookstore that takes author books on consignment, which means they don't purchase the books outright, they will put them on the shelf. And then if they sell, they will get a percentage of that and give you, the author, the remainder of the cost of the book. We sell most of our books for $15, and the average percentage for a book consigned to a bookstore is about 40 to 50%. So on a $15 book, after they take their cut, we would get about $7.50. That's $7.50 per book. It was actually 40%. So I sold one book. So I think I made $9 today. Now, even though they didn't charge us a table fee for this event, I did end up purchasing a couple items from the bookstore, which there was this really nice candle called Library and Archives that I just had to have because of my past career working at the State Library and Archives. And also, they had a very fun tote bag, Bram Stoker's Dracula, that JT really wanted. So I got that for him for his birthday. So that right there, the $9 we made on the one book that I sold, I think, let's see, I spent about 5 times that on the things I bought. Plus, JT and I both bought drinks and lunch at the coffee shop next door. And then there was our gas to get back and forth to Reno. And we all know that gas prices have gone up. So the cost of doing a book event can vary. Like I said, Sierra Arts Foundation, they take 15% per sale, which is awesome. We get a really good percentage back on that one. Now, you have to remember that these books that we are selling at these events are not zero cost books to us. We do get them at a discount. We get an author discount for ordering these books. However, there's the cost of shipping. There is the cost of the editing and covers that we've done for these books. So each book, we've probably put thousands of dollars into it before we try to sell it. So it is not a zero cost proposition to do these book events. And in some cases, at some events, there will be a booth or a table fee depending on the event. We've gone to some events where it's $50 per day, and you get a 10 by 10 foot space, usually with a 6-foot table. It can range upward of hundreds of dollars if you're doing a very large event, something like LA Book Fest, I believe is hundreds. I think someone said it was $500 to $600 for a 10 by 10 booth. And I'm not sure if that's for the entire run, because I think a big event like that is usually multiple days. So if that's the case, then it's probably closer to maybe $100 per day. But on top of that, depending on where you are, you might also have to pay for things like Wi-Fi and electricity. Plus, if you are traveling to another location, for example, you're flying, you have the cost of your flight and your hotel. So doing book events is not cheap, even if they are so-called free events. We did do a book event at Bub's Bookstore when they did their grand opening, which was awesome because I don't remember how much of a cut they took. I don't think it was the traditional 40%. And we did very good sales at that event. And it didn't cost us a lot in gas. They didn't charge a table fee because it's literally 5 minutes from our house. So that was a great event. But we do a lot of these events. And the reason we're doing them, even though it costs us more money, is that it is a good way to get visibility in our community. Now, unfortunately, at the Halloween Quill event today, we did not get a lot of foot traffic. They did seem to have audiences for the panel discussions that they were doing, but those audiences didn't seem to stick around for the author signings afterward. So that's not on the bookstore. That's just what happens because you can never tell what readers are going to do. And they're still a very new bookstore, so I don't know that they have a kind of a dedicated clientele yet. They are in an interesting part of Reno. It's not highly residential, I don't think, and it can be a little awkward to get to their location. So there are a lot of factors involved. Also, I mentioned it is a very hot day today. A lot of people might have gone out of town. Sometimes people will go up into the mountains where it's cooler, go up to Lake Tahoe, for example. So there are a lot of factors at play. And we have done book events at Barnes & Noble. And again, Barnes & Noble did not charge us a table fee, but they do take a cut of the sales. So actually, no. No, they did. They did. Yes, they cashed us out. And that is another thing that at these book events, there are two ways of going about it. Some events, they will have a central location that cashes you out, and that's normally where the host will get a percentage of the sales. And in many cases, those percentages, whatever they earn from that, a lot of that goes back into the cost of putting on the event, because there are permits and all kinds of incidental costs that come along with setting up something like that. If we do an event where we are our own cashier, we take our own cash. We have actual cash. We use Square, which is a platform. I think many people are familiar with it. You've probably seen ads for it if you haven't used it. And Square takes a percentage of sales. There is a processing fee, basically. So that's another cost that's associated with it. I do not believe we are paying for Square. I don't think we have upgraded. I think we're using the free version. So there are some things that we can't do. Square can be a little difficult because we are doing the free version, but it works for us. I have to manually edit or enter the credit card numbers. We don't have, well, we did get the little swipe when we set up our Square account, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to work correctly. So I do the manual entry, or else I do a cash entry, and that helps keep track of things like sales tax, for example, which is something else that we need to deal with, because we, I think, pay on a quarterly basis. We have to pay our state sales taxes. And then, of course, we have our business license, so that covers us going out to do these events. We have not yet done an event where we have to get a separate license. We do have a Carson City business license. We don't have them for other communities, but if we do an event at something like Sierra Arts or at some place like Hollow and Quill, then that is covered by their business license. So we don't need to worry about it in that case. But there are some events that we didn't end up doing because we would have had to get a separate license. And you can get a like a one-day license or permit or something to do these kinds of events. And in some cases, you may actually have to buy insurance for events, event insurance. So there are a lot of costs involved in authors going out to do any vendor, really. If you look at your food vendors, there are even more costs because they also have to do things like health inspections. They have to make sure that their equipment is all up to standards. For obvious reasons, they need to make sure that the products are healthy so they don't make anyone sick. But when you think about going to your local farmer's market or something, yes, it's a great fun day out. And that's something else. We did look at possibly doing our local farmer's market this summer. We decided against it because I think it was $100 per weekend. So if we did that over the course of the summer, that would have been way more than we could really afford. Because like I said, today we sold a book. Yesterday we sold a book. I think the most sales we've had at an event was 13 at this point. So if anyone thinks that authors are making a ton of money by doing these events, they're really not. And I spent a lot of my time today talking to authors that I hadn't met yet. There were some old friends there that we were hanging out with, but there were also new to me authors that I made a point of going to introduce myself to, because we're chatting about how difficult it is to be an independent author who's out trying to do these events. And it is good to make these connections because sometimes people have ways of helping each other out. JT and I, for example, do our podcasts, and we don't have a huge number of followers, but hopefully we are helping to promote the people that we interview on our podcasts. So that's our way of giving back to our local author community. It does take time on our part. We do pay for the platform that we use for podcasting, so that's another expense for us. Plus, we pay for 2 websites because we have the website where we post the Nevada Author Network podcasts, and we have the website where we post the rest of our 2 more books things. So there are a lot of costs involved in being a creative. And it's like any other business. We don't have the cost of a physical location, which is why we do all these events, because we don't have an actual bookstore of our own. We have toyed with the idea of doing like a mobile bookstore. But again, that adds more costs. Even if we did something like purchasing a horse trailer, which is popular in our area. There are people who transform horse trailers into little bookshops. So we could get a trailer hitch and hitch that up to our RAV4, and we could go around and do author events that way. But again, you have the cost of the trailer. You have to insure the trailer. If the trailer is not already set up, you have to do the renovation costs on the trailer. So it sounds like a great idea in theory, but in practice, it gets very expensive. So this is not by any means meant to be a rant on the cost of things, because I understand that that's just the capitalistic society. There are costs to everything. And as JT and I like to say, we are doing this as retirees. This is not, thankfully, our sole income, because we do have our pensions. We would like to augment our pensions, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. Plus, we're dealing with the challenges of my husband transitioning to Medicare, which is more expensive than we expected. So, we have real life expenses on top of our authorial, whatever you want to say, our business expenses. So I was just reminded when we went out to do our event today that as fun as they are a little bit of a drain on our finances. We're just hoping that someday we'll reach a tipping point. And I will also say that this month has been incredibly good for JT's Sheriff in Nevada series. He hasn't sold books every day, but he has sold, I don't know if he's into the double digits yet, but he's sold books on a regular basis. Now, most of the books that he has sold have been the 99-cent versions, that the ebooks that are on Amazon. So that's something like 35 cents. But the reason that the first book in that series is 99 cents is to hopefully draw people in to buy the successive books in the series. And so far, that seems to be working out, because he has sold numerous 99-cent copies of A Sheriff in Nevada, which has led to at least a few sales of Downfall, which is his second book, and Corona, which is the third book. And those, I think he's selling for $4.99. So the amount we get back is a little bit higher. And hopefully this is coming about because we have gone out and tried to make ourselves more visible in public. So the cost of doing these events, a lot of that we consider to be marketing costs. We don't pay for online marketing because we have tried that in the past and it just doesn't work. So even though we don't always sell at these events, we're at least getting our faces out there. Sometimes we will have a nice chat with somebody. We will often hand them a one sheet. We've done a one sheet for our bookstore that talks about all of the books that we have available. We give that to people who are walking by. We've started giving away little bags. They're little mesh bags that are kind of meant for wedding favors. But we have a business card, a little keychain. It's a book-themed keychain, and usually a piece of chocolate in this little mesh bag that we hand to people. The reason we started doing that, even though it is more of an expense because we're buying the supplies, but we are doing that because just handing someone a business card, people don't often take them. But the bags, they really enjoy going through because the keychains are all a little bit different. They like to go through, pick the keychain they like. They get a little sweet treat out of the deal. They may or may not look at the business card, but I think we have a better chance of them looking at it than it would be if we just handed it to them. So we do that. We give away bookmarks, and we are looking at making more bookmarks that are themed to our books, because right now we have a generic bookmark for 2 more books. So again, you're seeing that more of these expenses are adding up, and we give a lot of this away free. We had someone yesterday that we gave one of the little gift bags to, and she said, somebody somewhere else would have charged me like $10 for this thing. And we're like, no. This is our promo marketing, it's part of our marketing budget, basically. So we would not charge somebody for that, but we are looking at maybe doing more swag that we might actually try selling. And my hope is, as I'm releasing Battleborn Bride, JT and I are really talking about doing a blitz for that book release, and hopefully I will be able to do some events. I will say today, the author that I shared a table with, now JT and I normally sign together, but today we were split because there were different genre signing times. So I had the romance genre signing time and he had the thriller signing time. And so I was paired with someone other than JT and I was chatting with her and she bought the copy of my book because she is a member of a local book group that likes to read Nevada themed books written by Nevada authors, which my romance is. So she took that back to her book club. Hopefully, that will maybe lead to more sales of that book. Now, my hope with Battleborn Bride is that I will be able to do more talks and book groups and things like that, maybe for a small fee in some cases. I'm not quite sure how. I would not charge book clubs, but to do some other types of events, there might be a small fee involved. And I don't know if that would be something where I would be able to charge for it or whoever is hosting me would charge for it. I will be doing a release party where everything will be free, aside from the book, of course. And I plan to do my talk at that book launch, see how it goes, get some feedback from the people who will be there, because I assume most of them will be people I know. But I'm hoping, since I'm doing it in October around Nevada Day, the book is related to Nevada Day. It's about Nevada history. So I'm hoping that some of my expertise that I picked up during my time at the Nevada State Archives will make me a bit of a draw as a speaker. And hopefully, maybe in the future, we can actually help augment our book income by doing a few talks here and there. So if I do book clubs, for example, obviously I would do the talk for free, but hopefully, the attendees might buy a copy of the book. So just thought I would talk a little bit about the costs associated with doing author signings, basically, because we did 2 in a row. We just got home. I'm tired. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. But it was a good time. I talked to a lot of fun people. I made some new contacts, all authors, of course. I really need to start meeting up with readers. I think that's my issue, but we'll get there. And my hope is that by making all these connections with fellow authors, that we can help promote each other. We can help provide each other insights on what works and what doesn't. And if nothing else, when we go to these events, it's always nice to go in and see a room full of faces that I recognize, because we can spend some time catching up. So that's my little chat for today about the exciting life of an author. I will say that the America's Favorite Couple competition has taken an interesting turn, because I joined a Facebook group and it turns out that many people entered this contest, like myself, didn't really pay much attention to the rules and regulations prior to signing up for it. And a lot of people have been very disgruntled, you might say, about the fact that the person either has to use a Facebook login to get the free vote, and a lot of people don't have Facebook, or they would buy votes by donating. And I don't think a lot of people are comfortable asking for that, even though the money that goes to the votes is actually a charitable donation to either the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank or Oceana. So a lot of people, I think, have given up on trying to win this competition. I feel that many of them, and I've actually seen many of them comment, that it feels like the couple who buys the most votes actually is going to be the winner, which may be the case. And again, the money will be going to a good cause. So, it is nice to think that we could get the $20,000 and the photo layout and the dinner with the celebrities, but the likelihood of that happening is becoming less and less all the time. And the people who have realized that are not really pushing for people to vote for them. I am continuing to post on social media because currently in our group, JT and I are in 6th place. And my understanding is that if we make the top 20 in our group, that's my understanding as of this point in time, by Friday, July 16th, so that's 5 more days, if we are in the top 20, then we progress to the next round of voting and we start the same thing all over again. And then it goes to the top 15 and then the same thing all over again. And obviously, throughout the course of all of this, we're trying to encourage people to vote for us by either the daily free vote, which is once within a 24-hour period. So I'm doing it at 10 a.m. every morning because I went online as soon as the competition opened. So I have to do it at 10 a.m. every morning or else I lose momentum. And JT did it later in the day. We are voting for ourselves. We are also voting for some friends of ours. And actually, our friends in one group are in first place, which is awesome because several people did donate to the cause in their name. So they advanced to the top. So I think we had one person that I know of donate, and we're at sixth place. And like I said, a lot of the competitors, and I believe there's more than 100,000 couples competing in this competition. So it's going to be pretty stiff. But it seems like many of the people have just kind of given up even trying. And the friends that are in first place, I was chatting with her today, and she's a little disgruntled about the whole thing as well. So it has taken an interesting turn. There are some people who are determined to try to win that first prize. And if they have a following that will donate large sums of money, I think you can donate like $250, which gets 250 votes. So for someone who's promoting themselves for the free votes, really there's not a lot of opportunity to catch up with that unless you know a lot of people. And they can only do it once within a 24-hour cycle, whereas with the donation, I think you can do it as often as you want. So I don't know how this competition is going to turn out. If we can maintain our position for the next week, we will move to the next round, but I really have no illusions that we're going to win this. And at this point, I am considering it a bit of marketing of JT and I and our books because, like I was saying in a previous video, we are our brand. So if nothing else, it's a little bit of free publicity. We did get a couple newspaper articles out of it. I did mention our publishing company in our books. So, no matter what happens, I'm hoping we get a little bump in at least attention from this. And if we progress from round to round, I do plan to send out more press releases saying, oh, look, we made it to the next group. Please come back and vote for us again and see, if I can keep that momentum going for as long as possible. Who knows? I mean, I guess it's not outside the realm of possibility if we catch the attention of somebody who has a lot of money and decides to vote in our name, but the likelihood of that, I think, is pretty slim. We don't have a lot of wealthy friends. But things are going well. We're getting out there. Like I said, JT has been selling a lot of books. We're making a name for ourselves in the local community, at least, because a lot of the authors I met today who I did not already know in person did say that they recognized our names and our faces because they either follow us on social media or they watch or listen to our podcast. So we are getting out there. We've started saying build local, go global. So hopefully the people that we're meeting locally will talk to people in other places. Maybe they have family or friends that live in other parts of the country. So we're hopeful that the word can start spreading that way, and that maybe, it's hard, but it's a way of getting some attention. And our other option is just not to do anything. And unless somehow, some way, one of our books went randomly viral, which is also not likely. If we just didn't do any kind of promotion at all, then we would languish. And we didn't promote ourselves really hard last year, and we are seeing an uptick in sales this year over last year. So I think it's working. It's just very slow. It can be expensive, both in money and time, and it is wearing on our nerves. I am exhausted from being out in public and talking to people for 2 or 3 hours. I used to be able to do it all day long, but now that I'm retired and I have so much more free, quiet time, it's harder and harder to spend long periods of time dealing with the public. So really, I think at this point in our journey, our dream is to sell enough books to cover our costs so that we don't have to go out and do these public events quite as often. Help to augment our income, um, give us the incentive to keep writing. We're not going to give up writing because we love it anyway, but it's a little added incentive for us to keep writing, and then to hopefully give us the opportunity, maybe even if we could hire an assistant, that would be awesome. Somebody who could do our social media, maybe respond to some of our emails, and then we could focus more on just the business of writing. They could, if we could find an assistant who could actually get us set up for all of these book events and everything, that would be amazing. I mean, I would love to hire one person to help us out. That would be awesome. But in the meantime, JT and I are doing it all ourselves, and I continue to post my daily YouTube videos and post to social media, and it's a lot, but it's fun. So if you are someone who is considering the life of an independent author and you want to know the reality of what goes in to being an independent author who is actually trying to sell their books, I hope I've kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit to show you what's in the dark recesses behind it, because when we're first starting out, we don't think about all the things, all those costs that start adding up over time. And I do think it's important for people to go into this with their eyes wide open. And, the reality is, even people who are somewhat more successful than we are still really out there busting their butts, you might say, doing all these events and things like that. Because to get to the level of someone like a Stephen King, it doesn't happen very often. And the rest of us are just out here doing the best we can. So JT and I will continue to try to help promote our fellow authors, and we hope they will help do the same for us, because the more word of mouth we can generate, the better. And that way we don't have to spend the few pennies that we have left between trying to make ends meet on marketing. We can spend them on covers and on our editing and things like that. So I actually talked a lot longer than I meant to. I think I'm still on a roll from being out networking. JT was saying I was out doing my CEO thing. So I think I've definitely put in a good day's work, and now it's time for me to relax for a few hours. We will be doing our podcast again tomorrow morning, where we will be talking more about the different bookstores that we visited, and it will kind of be an extension of this video that I've just done. So I will link to JT's YouTube page, which is where our podcasts are posted. You can find different playlists on there because I have gotten them more organized. So if you're looking for the CC and JT Amateur Hour, there is a playlist for that. There's also a playlist for author interviews that we do with the CC and JT Amateur Hour, as well as the Nevada Author Network podcast. So I think I set up 3 playlists over there. I'm not 100% sure because I did that a while back, but hopefully when these are getting posted, he's updating that. I'll have to check with him to see. He might not have used the playlists for the last couple he posted, so I might have to pop in there every once in a while and make sure they're in a playlist. But my point is that I will put the link down below to his channel so you can look up our podcasts. We have done... we've been doing the CC and JT Amateur Hour for 5 years now. So we have done hundreds of episodes. We've done maybe 100. I don't know if we've hit 100 yet. We've done quite a few interviews with authors, both the local Northern Nevada author community and authors in other locations in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Costa Rica, and in South Korea. And we will be going back to interviewing authors on CC and JT Amateur Hour again this fall. We're taking a little bit of a hiatus from that, so we're just doing our normal back and forths on Sunday until then. We are still posting our weekly podcasts, but we're going back to the author interviews, which will alternate starting probably in September. And we haven't added any new interviews to the Nevada Author Network recently, but we're hoping as more people join the Sierra Arts literary community, that we will have more authors coming up in the future. We also have other plans with the Nevada Author Network. We haven't quite finalized them yet, but I will talk about those more as we get closer. I will also continue to update my YouTube every day. You can check out The Life of a Writer. The Life of a Writer 2026 is my overall playlist for the year. I have also done separate playlists on different topics I'm discussing. For example, fast drafting a manuscript, editing a manuscript, the America's Favorite Couple contest. So when I do videos that are specific to those, they will be on that playlist as well. There is also a separate playlist called Luck, where I have started discussing my idea of luck as love, understanding, compassion, and kindness. And I did do a second topic, or a second video on that topic, about love, that I posted the other day. I will go through each of the letters in that acronym and put those on the podcast, or I guess it could be a podcast. I'm going to put those in that playlist and continue on that journey, because I do hope to create more of a group of people who want to think about life, the luck in their life as them providing love, understanding, compassion, and kindness to others in the hope of receiving the same for themselves. So there's a lot going on. We've been very busy, and this is going to be probably one of my longest videos now, because I really got off on a tangent with the cost of doing author events. But like I said, I think it's very important for people to go into this with their eyes wide open. So if you have stopped on this video, I hope that it is helpful for you, that if you're interested, you will subscribe and follow along on this adventure. And I'll continue to post videos throughout the rest of the year. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do for 2027 on my YouTube journey, but I'm really liking the daily video updates. So if not every day, I might continue to do it multiple times a week in 2027. But for the rest of 2026, my plan going forward is to do a daily video on some subject. I have done a few that were shorts when I was very busy and just didn't have time to sit down and do an actual video. So I hope you will check all. I think I'm running out of steam now. I hope you will check out all of the previous videos that I've posted. That's well over 100 at this point. And like I said, our podcast, we have hundreds of episodes. So if you're looking for something to binge, if you want to learn more about the writing journey, if you want to learn more about my husband and I, definitely check all that stuff out. And you can also follow us on our various social medias by going to our website at www.carsonhume.com. That website also links to our bookstore, or you can go directly to our bookstore at actually it's Carson Hume, CARSONHUME .square.site. So that's our bookstore. www.carsonhume.com is our website. You can also get to the bookstore from there. Well, thank you for joining me. If you've made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate you, because I know I threw out a lot of information. Like I said, I was kind of hyped up from being out in public talking to people today, and I learned some very interesting things from other authors that maybe at some point I will share on here. But if you are an aspiring author, I do hope you'll follow along. I would love to hear about your journey. So put your, what kind of events you've done down in the comment section below. If you are another type of creative artist, for example, a painter, I do have a painter who follows me on here, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. And we go back and forth quite a bit. So I do try to respond to comments as much as possible. I don't always get to them every day, but I try to get back to them as soon as I can. It would be fun to build more of a community on here. I enjoy talking to people about my creative pursuits, and I love hearing about your creative pursuits. So again, I thank you for joining me, especially if you've hung in there this long, because this is really a long video. And I'm really going to go now. I hope you're having a wonderful day and weekend so far. As I record this, it is Saturday, July 11th, 2026. We're almost halfway through the month of July at this point, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is The Life of a Writer. Take care.